Jesus. Hey guys, how are you? So, it is Tanisha Shanee, and I know I have not been live in a couple of days. And I'm going to explain to you why I haven't been live. So, for those of you who do not know me, I am Tanisha Shanee, healthy lifestyle strategist, author of Transition to a Healthier You, and inspirational speaker. And in the last few weeks, I have had moments where I just kind of was alone, but not alone. Really just on this journey that I have that started 2 years ago. And, really just wanted to encourage and motivate someone who is possibly going through a similar journey as I am. And the one message that I keep hearing over and over in the last few months has been stop running. And I want to share that with you. Stop running. And what I mean by stop running is we all have a purpose, right? Everyone has a purpose in life. Um, I know and I believe that God placed us all here with a destiny, and we all have a will. Some of us have a purpose to bake, and some of us have a purpose to sing, to write a song, play sports. But there's also a group of people that have a purpose which falls in lines within what they call a spiritual gift. Um, and it's not something that if unless you open up the book and you actually read the word, you may not understand what a spiritual gift is. I know that I didn't for a long time. And I remember back in December of last year, 2015, I went to a church, I went to prayer night, and the pastor started to preach. Now, the ironic part was the pastor admitted that that was not the message he intended to speak on. But as he was walking to the front, he said God just deposited that message into him. And he went directly to 1 Corinthians 12. And basically from verse 1 to 11, it speaks on spiritual gifts. And we have different spiritual gifts. It could be spiritual gift of prophecy, of healing, speaking tongues, understanding tongues, discernment. It's a lot of spiritual gifts. And for a very long time, honestly, since I was a little girl, I did feel as though that I was spiritually in tune. But because I was not raised in the church, it was never it was never molded, right? So sometimes when you're not raised in that environment, you kind of stray away from it. You run away from it, and that's what I did. Um, so my journey, my spiritual awakening started in 2012 when I invited and I basically activated this because I allowed God to be a part of my weight loss journey. And that's where it started. But I felt that's where it ended too. But I realized later on in 2014 that God had so much more for me. But that was just a small part of it. He needed me to activate that. And by me activating that, I allowed him to now show me that there was so much more that he can do that I had no control over. So imagine going through your life. You're working hard. You're thinking that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, and you just still never feel happy. You never feel fulfilled. I am a person that was an overachiever. I have 2 degrees, and every time I would go back to school, I felt like I was going back to school seeking more. I wanted to, like, maybe this master's is going to make me happier, or maybe getting this PhD is going to it's going to get me to that place where I feel fulfilled. And every time I would do that, I never felt fulfilled. And the reason why was because I was not living my purpose. And even when I realized and I got to a point where I understood my purpose, I was not doing it in the fulfillment that God needed me. I was not walking in his full purpose. I was doing it part-time. That's why in the last year I struggled. So when I sat there that night in church and the pastor was preaching, literally as he started to speak about spiritual gifts and knowing your spiritual gift, but being afraid of your spiritual gift and running away from it. I literally sat there and I just cried. I cried as if I was at a funeral for someone that I loved. And I cried because I realized I was listening and I understood that I was not fully happy because I was not doing it truly what God needed me to do. That's what my disconnect was. And I remember the night, well, it wasn't a night, it was the daytime. And August 2014, I was sitting at my job, I was teaching at the time, and God told me it was time to do something different. I remember this clear as day. And the one thing that I didn't know was because I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the wisdom. You know, again, I was not fully in the training of the spiritual awakening and having this guidance. I had no guidance. I was just kind of doing this, kind of just like, come on, God, we all in this together. We're gonna just wing this. And what I should have done at that time was I should have started praying. So I heard God say it's time to do something different. My first action should have been praying for guidance so that God can help me to understand, give me clarity. So instead of me doing that, I did the thing that I normally do. It was, okay, it's time to do something different. That means find a new job. And that's exactly what happened. Within 5 weeks, I had a new job. I had a job where I was making $15,000 more than what I was making. It was 8 minutes away from my home. And when I tell you, on my second day at this job, I knew that's not what God intended for me. When I went through the interview process, when I say, if I would have understood that my intuition was so strong and that my spiritual awakening was really strong, then I would not have taken that job, because all of the signs physically. I mean, I remember sitting in my truck on the day of the last interview. I went through a 3-part interview. This is how long it went. And I remember I felt like there was a force just trying to keep me in the truck. And I mean, I just felt like come on, like I want to get out, like I gotta go inside. And I could just feel it was just like, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. And I still went in there. But I know that that's what God is. God knew I was going to do that because He knows us. He knows us better than anyone else. He already knows how everything is going to map out. So, like I said, after the second day of being there, I knew I didn't belong there. But as I moved forward, about 3 months later, 4 months later, there was a lady that was a consultant there. And because I never had anyone around that spoke about purpose and that spoke about spiritual gifts and knowing what God was saying and having those moments, when she sat there and she started to share her story, basically what was her testimony of how she heard God tell her it was time to move on. It was time for her to leave. I just, it's like I caught on and I was just sitting and I was taking notes. And when I got the time to pull her to the side one-on-one, I told her thank you because I needed to understand what happened to me in August 2014. And from there, it just kind of just went slow, but then quickly I started to catch on because now she told me the one thing, the best advice she could ever tell me. She was like, you got to talk to him. You have to pray more. She said, because once you start to pray, it's going to start making sense to you. So what happened was, fast forward, I got to that point where I understood what my purpose was. I understood that God needed me to help bring people to Him through my journey, through my testimony, through the experiences that I have been through. And it's not only just weight loss, but just healthy lifestyle as a whole. So I understood that, right? So check out what I did. I had that awareness. I knew how God needed me to do this, to bring a population of people to Him because of the fact that we had this common denominator of living such an unhealthy life. But I wanted to do things on my terms. Okay? So what did I do? I got me a life coach. I wrote a business plan. And I started a business. Right? Now, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Entrepreneurship, I am definitely 100% for. However, one thing I did not realize at that point in 2015, around August, September, was that I had a spiritual gift. That my gift was not to just start a business. My purpose was not to just start a business, but my gift. Listen to what the basis of my purpose is to bring people to Christ, to bring people to God, right? Through their unhealthy lifestyles to make them whole again. So how can I do that with a business? It was not working. So you see the conflict that I was possibly going through? And when I was finding myself successful were the days that it was a time in the end of 2015, early 2016, where I was doing videos, right? I was doing videos just like this before Facebook Live. I was just recording them and I was uploading them. And they were spiritually based videos. Now, when I did those videos for God, I was blessing other people. And guess what He was doing in return? He was blessing me through my business. But I had to do the foundation work for Him first because it was tapping into my spiritual gift. And when I realized that my spiritual gift was actually stronger than what I thought it was, I ran away from it. So once I started to run away from it, even though I was seeing the results of it, now my business was crashing. Now everything in my life seemed to go wrong. And the reason why was because I was being disobedient to the spiritual gift that He placed on my life. And I think some of us, we have that same problem. We want to do things that we want to do, right? We want to do things on our terms. We want to do things because of how someone else is doing it. We can't do things because someone else did it. We have to do things according to how He desires. And the only way you will know how He desires that is by you activating that conversation with Him, by praying, by speaking to Him, and then most importantly, by listening to Him. See, again, these are things that no one is telling you, especially when you don't have that guidance. When you don't have someone that's saying to you, wait, don't take action yet. Pray on it. Let Him tell you. If I would have done that, I'm guaranteed 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't have been in the problems that I went through this past year. Not saying that they're bad problems, because I feel as though I needed to go through certain things so that I can continue to help people. The people that God was really sending to me, it was not just people who were just diabetics, who had high blood pressure. These were people that had life problems. And in order for me to really relate to what they were going through, I had to also start to go through some of them too. Because I went through a phase in my life where everything was kind of perfect. Everything just kind of came to me naturally. Money came to me in abundance. If I needed a job, I got 2 jobs. It was never an issue. Someone said if I didn't have something, someone had it. They just gave me a check. So sometimes in my life, I was truly blessed. But those were blessings that was just handed to me. I didn't pray for them. I didn't ask for it. It was just given to me. So God put me in a position where I had to now go on a receiving end. And now I had to be a receiver in a different way. I had to be a receiver to the blessings that He wanted to now send me. But I didn't understand that. So all of this was just tying me into running. I was running away from everything that He needed for me to do. And when I tell people this, your purpose might really be a spiritual gift, and that business really might not be working because you're not being obedient to what He desires for you. And if you're finding yourself in that same predicament, I don't ask you to abort your whole business idea. It really just might need to go to the wayside for a moment, so that you can start realizing what is that spiritual gift. How does He need you to cultivate it? How does He need you to bring it to life? Because when you bring that to life, then the business part of it is always going to come. It's going to prevail. You already have victory. It's done. But He needs you to do it in the order that He needs you to do it. Stop being so stubborn like I was. Doing things because I wanted to do it the way that Tanisha wanted to do it. And I was running away from that spiritual part. If you guys notice, a lot of my messages, I stopped speaking about God because I was listening to people who were saying, well, don't talk about God on Facebook. Don't talk about God about weight loss. Don't talk about God. And by me listening to the 1% of people that did not believe, or the 1% of people who didn't understand and who didn't pick up the Bible, who didn't pick up the book, who didn't pray, I was losing. I was losing. And the moment that I started to say, to heck with that, I'm going to go with the 99% that needs it. Because when I started to do that, when I tell you the amount of testimonies that I have received in the last month, it still shocks me. It still wows me. There are days I wake up and I say, God, wow me today. And guess what he will do? He will wow me. He will bring someone onto my Facebook page and they will listen to one of my videos and then they will send me a message. And I'm like, so you got all of that out of that message? And it's just what God needs me to do. He has placed people, perfect strangers, into my life and have these people ask me to pray for them. You sure about that? Like, no, really. I mean, like, there's times I know God is always probably looking down saying, why this one? Why she just can't do it? Right? Because I know I probably delay it by a couple of hours. God would be like, all right, someone called me, I would say like 7 o'clock. This is a true story. They called me like 7 o'clock. No, they text me. They was like, can you pray for me right now? And I said, give me a minute, right? And I sat down on my couch and I was like, God, I don't know about this. Like, let me call my backup. I'm calling my backup. And you know what God does? And that I love because it's showing me that he has more faith in me than I have in myself. He blocks those calls, right? So there was a person I feel as though is stronger in prayer than I am. So I text her and say, I'm gonna need you to be on three-way with me in case I need you to come in and to intercept in this prayer. She ain't never get that message. I was so mad. Like I was really sitting here like why she not respond? But any other time she responds. And after I prayed with the young lady, I hit my friend up. I was like, what happened to you? She was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I asked you to be available. She said, I never got that message. I said, wow, that's how God works. He didn't want me to bring anyone else. He said, I have enough faith in you to do what I asked you to do. Don't worry about it. I didn't ask you to call someone. I didn't ask for backup. I didn't ask for a group call. I asked for you to do this because I have faith and I know that you can do it. And once I understood that, that's when it has allowed me to realize and to now I go out and I seek the guidance. I seek that assistance. When I recorded myself the other day praying, and I'm not sharing that prayer anytime soon. But when I say to you, someone said to me a couple of weeks ago how they prayed for like 3 hours. And in the back of my mind, I said, who wants to pray for that long? Right? And I go on YouTube all the time, and I saw there are people that pray for like 30, 40 minutes. The other night, today is Sunday, Friday night, I just felt it, and I just prayed. When I looked at my clock, I prayed for 35 minutes. I was like, I did that? Okay. I recorded myself praying. I said, I just want to hear myself. One, because part of my prayer, I asked God to allow me to give me bring me stronger in prayer. Like, I didn't want to just continue to be that 5-minute prayer person. Like, all right, God, today, Pastor was saying how, right, we pray going to the train station, like, God bless me today, and I used to be that person, like, as I'm walking. But now I learned to pray before I even get out of my bed. I pray before I leave my house. I pray about 3 times before I even leave out the door, because I know that there's so much that's already on the outside. So I got to protect myself before I even reach outside. So I can't go outside after being up for 2 hours. Sometimes I'm up that long before I walk outside and not ask for prayer, not ask for protection, not pray for anything. Like, that's a lot of time. But I just see the growth in myself, and I'm aware of that, and I'm proud of that. And then, going out and I'm seeking a home, finding a place that I belong. Because again, I know that when you have certain spiritual gifts, you need to be in certain spaces. You need to be around certain type of people, because you just can't be around anyone. You kind of, one thing that Pastor John said today was you have to make sure that you're not around people that's going to decrease your value, but that's going to increase your value. And I truly believe that. And I know that in the last 6 months, I have removed a lot of people because I realized that they were decreasing my value. And I no longer wanted that. I needed them to get far away from me because as I was acknowledging, as I was accepting, and as I had to stop even running away from my spiritual gift, I didn't need those people that was going to sit around and speak negative about it, just to make jokes and comments about, being in church, or, praying for people. And girl, why don't we go out for drinks? Because, oh, well, you can't go out because you got a prayer call, or you can't go out because you got to stand outside, and because this person wants you to pray for them, and we know how long your prayers are going to be. When you start hearing things like that, that means that those people don't mean you any well. They don't want to see you get to the level that God has already destined for you. They might already know. God gives us provision on other people's lives. This is why haters are always going to hate on you, because they see what he's doing in you. They already know. So instead, because they know, they're going to try to pull you back. They're going to try to bring you back to where they are and further deeper. They're not going to help you get to the next level. And I was even running away from the people that was pushing me and that wanted to see me grow. Like, there was a person who has entered my life in the last 3 months. And even that person I was running away from. And even God kept saying, stop running. This is why I said, stop running. Because that has been, like, I swear, the message that I have heard for the last 3 months. Stop running. And I mean physically running, trying to shut the doors. And I guarantee you, if you stop running, the blessings are going to come. Your life is going to change. The shift is going to continue to happen. And it's going to happen in a positive manner. So you have to stop running away from it. You have to stop feeling like you're weird. Something's wrong with you. You're different. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. Sometimes we need different people out there, because in order for us to change in this world, we need someone that's going to think different, someone that's going to move different, someone that's going to do different. Because if each one of us do the same exact thing, then guess what? We're going to either be an insane society, or we're going to just be a whole bunch of robots walking around doing the same things. And the one thing that I now understand and I fully accept about myself, I am different. I have always been different. I embrace my difference, and I understand why I am different. I understand why I go through things differently than other people. I understand why, since I was a little girl, I was that child that sat in the room reading books while all the kids were outside. It's not because I was lazy. I was different because God was using me differently. I was different from the time that I started to lose weight. When people say to me, there's no way that God can help you to lose weight, I rebuke you, and I'm telling you, you're lying to yourself, because God did it for me. I've lost over 100 pounds because of the grace of God. There's no diet out there that can do what God can do. I guarantee you that. So when people say to me, how did you do it? If you're really willing to learn how to do it, then you need to come to me, and I'm going to show you, because he showed me. He gave me the guidance. He gave me the insight. He showed me ways that it's not on Google, that is not in Wikipedia. It is not at Barnes and Nobles. It's the knowledge that he has given me directly. And so when someone said to me the other night, oh, I'm sorry. Ooh. Someone said to me the other night, he's using you in a different way because that's what he needs you. He needs you to be that leader, because not many other people have done it the way that you have done it. So in order for them to see that it's different, it has to be truly different. It can't be any way like anyone else. And that's what I get now. But that's what I was afraid of, because I knew it was different. I was saying that it was different. I felt that it was different, but I didn't know how to really embrace the difference, because I was afraid. I was tired of being called weird, strange, creepy, the things that I tell people. people don't believe me. And then when it comes to pass and it comes true, I get that call or I get that text message saying, "How did you know that was going to happen?" I didn't know that it was going to happen. God told me, I just passed on the message, and if it came true, then hey, at least you knew that I wasn't just lying to you. You know, so it's just one of those things that you have to embrace who you are. You have to embrace that gift. You know, some of you probably had that gift from a child. A lot of us had that gift from a child. But we were either told something was wrong with you, better cut it out, or you were, something traumatic happened in your life that blocked it. I know for me, I was always just told, I was getting tired of being told that you're different, that you're weird. So I just kind of shut a lot of things out. I focused on the things that made sense logically. Being smart was logical, right? Being the smartest child in your class made sense. But when you have spiritual gifts, it doesn't make sense because you can't explain it. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I have shared with people, and I tell them, I don't know how I knew, but I knew. I can't explain to you why I know this message and why I need to tell it to you, but I need to. And then when it comes to pass, they're looking at me from the side of their eyes, trying to figure out how did she know she told me this a couple of weeks ago. She told me this a couple of months ago. I don't know. All I know is that I hear something and I have to tell you. That's it. That's it. That's it. There's nothing more to that. There's no there's no book is gonna tell you besides the good book. God is gonna tell you it's there, it's written. If you go to 1 Corinthians 12, you're going to read it. You're gonna read about spiritual gifts. So if you have that, stop running from it. Don't run away from it. Embrace it. Find someone that's going to help you to understand it. Find someone that's going to allow you to be who you are. And again, stay away from those that are going to decrease your value because they're afraid of what you're doing. And they're going to stop you because they might have a spiritual gift as well. And they're not going to embrace it themselves. So, whew, I'm glad that I shared that. Um, when I say I started writing my second book. And really the second book it's about my spiritual journey. The weight loss was one part of it, mind, body, and spirit. But the spiritual part of it, it's a part that I have to share because again, it still wows me how I have been used in the last 2 years. And I'm thankful for that. And I just encourage you to to start writing your own book. Sometimes we just call it a journal, but there's a lot of stories that I'm pretty sure that you have that you're ready to share with someone. Someone needs to hear and to see how did you get through it? How did God get you through it? Because someone out there is telling them that it's not possible, that God can't get them through that. And I've been told that so many times. When I tell people, God is going to get me through this, and they say stupid things like, well, how can God pay your credit card bill? How can God pay your car note? But then that check comes in the mail that you wasn't anticipating. Or someone decides to sign up for your business that you were not expecting. Or someone just donates money to your business or to your nonprofit that you wasn't expecting. Those things happen to me. Those moments have happened to me. That's how I can tell someone about that because it has happened to me after hearing someone say, how can God get you through that? So I guarantee you, your purpose, you can't get rid of, right? We all have a purpose. But if your purpose is a spiritual gift, stop running away from it. Stop. Don't be afraid of it anymore. Embrace it. But speak to God and allow him to be your guide, your tour guide. He's going to take you through it. He's going to give you clarity. He's going to open your eyes and your heart to receive the messages so that he can take you in a direction. but don't be afraid and stop running. So I hope you guys have an amazing Sunday. However many hours. To me, I feel like it's 9 o'clock at night already. And I swear to you, it's probably like 6 something or 7. But have a great week. And just continue to do all the amazing things that God needs you to do. Remember, it's not about us. It's about someone else. Just like I know that this message is not about Tanisha. It's about the people that are going to receive it. And if you receive this message and something has touched you, something has opened up your eyes, I just ask that you share this message and pass it along to someone else that has been running away from their gift. Because the more that we stop running away from our gifts, the better that we're going to come together as a community. Because there's someone out there that I need, right? Just like I'm someone that someone needs. So if you don't pass on this message, then the person that I need is not going to show up for the person that they need to be. So that's how I want you to kind of look at it. Show up to be the person that I need, because I still need guidance. I still need people to be there for me. I still need someone as well. There's moments I have, I'm weak, and I'm guarantee you, everyone in the spiritual who are walking their purpose and they are doing their spiritual gifts, they have someone that they turn to, because we still need to eat, right? We have to feed off of someone else as well as someone feeding off of us. So it's not just a one-way street. That's the only way that we are going to really become stronger as a world, not just as a country, as a world. So do that for me. I appreciate it. I love you all. God loves you. Have an awesome week. Any information that you're looking for, you can go to my website. And that's it. Have a blessed one. I love you.